We're just getting ready to record here. Get everything going. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Dog barking in the background for those of you who can hear it. Okay. Let's just do this intro part. Here we go. Welcome to Curmudgeon's Corner for Saturday, March 21st, 2026. It's just before 1930 UTC as I'm starting to record. I am Sam Minter, and we have no Yvonne with us again this week. And this time around, it's his son's spring break, and they're visiting Yvonne's brother in Texas. And I am happy to report, as I'm sure Yvonne would if he is here, his son Manu actually got on the plane to go. There'd been an issue a number of months ago, as some of our listeners may remember, where Yvonne was going to come out to Seattle and we were going to do a Curmudgeon's Corner meetup. And then Manu wouldn't get on the plane. So it didn't happen. But yeah, he got on the plane. He traveled all good. They're having their vacation. But that means I am here, and I put out the email saying, hey, anybody want to be a co-host, blah, blah, blah. As usual, leaving out the last couple of people who've done it so we don't get repeats all the time. And I got no response. Well, after I mentioned something in person, my wife said maybe she could do something with me. So we'll see, maybe. But I am doing the thing I usually do when I'm doing solo shows, which is, it is Saturday. I am starting the recording to get this in the right Sunday through Saturday week, that we have not missed a week forever, and this will not be it either. It's because I'm starting on Saturday, darn it, UTC, and then I'll go off and do other things for a while. We're going to the Apple store in just a few minutes. My son cracked the screen on his iPhone, and we're going to get it taken care of under Apple Care. And I'm picking up something else at the Apple Store while I'm there. Not a big thing. I'm not buying a laptop or anything. I'm just something to pick up. Yeah, okay, fine. It's a second Apple TV, because we now have a second device in the house that we can use. Like my projector that I have in the living room died finally. Like, it had been having issues for a while. Like, it wouldn't come on unless you hit it. So we'd like get up on a stool and hit it. It was on the ceiling, and sometimes it would start up fine. Sometimes you'd have to hit it a little bit and like jostle it. And then once you jostled it, of course, it's not lined up properly on the screen, so you'd have to readjust it. And the bulb, we had replaced the bulb once because it had told us, it was all running, the bulb had however many hours on it, and they recommend replacement. But the problem is the projector was old enough that there was you couldn't get the OEM bulbs anymore. They didn't make them anymore. Like the original company that we got the projector from had moved on to newer and better projectors, and you couldn't get replacement bulbs for this one anymore. You could get them online from other people, no-name brands. And but some of them, when you went to look for them, some of them were even like used. You have to look carefully to get a new one. But we had done that, we generally in the past, like, we'd gotten a no-name brand a few bulbs ago, and it didn't work very well. And so we did switch to an OEM one because we could still find them at that point. They were just like twice the price or something. So the no-name brand, the bulb had problems immediately, didn't work. Whatever, or maybe it worked, but it it like blew out like very quickly, like in a few months or so. I forget. But then we ordered another no name brand because it was at this point the only thing that was available. And I remember this last time it caused problems immediately, so much so that we took out the new bulb and put the old one back in because the old one hadn't burnt out. It was just at the point where the projector was telling us this bulb is old, you need to replace it. And we put it back in, and it lasted like another year and a half after that, with the caveat that you sometimes had to hit the projector. Anyway, we decided a long time ago that when it finally died, it was time to replace the projector. So we did, when it was finally dead, we did order a new projector, but it was going to take a couple days for the new projector to arrive, and it was going to take even longer if I'd ordered it from my former employer, Amazon. It was going to be a couple weeks, but we found B&H Photo back in New York. You remember, like I remember the days where I got their catalogs and I ordered stuff from them before, and they've got a big physical store in New York and a big mail order business, and just buy everything online from Amazon. That's it was one of the places you went to for electronics. But anyway, it was going to take a couple days. We did not want to go a couple days without television. We did not want to just watch it on our laptops, or this was just me and Alex. Brandy was still in Olympia. We did not want to just watch on either a laptop or an iPad or my computer monitors in my office. I mean, I've got 27-inch monitors, but 27 inches is still relatively small compared to like a big like 120-inch projector or however big this thing is. It's even bigger, 200. I don't know. It's an entire wall. Okay, it's an entire wall. But anyway, so we went out to our local store. We have Fred Meyer's out here in Seattle, and just picked up one of the really cheap TVs. We picked up a $200 TV, which was still like big compared to the old days. I remember having 20-inch TVs and thinking that was like a big thing when I was however old. Anyway, it's not like a big 70-inch screen or anything like that, but it's a decent size. It's bigger than the 27 inches. I forget exactly, 50 something. Anyway, it was a cheap Samsung. It was the cheapest Samsung, and we got it and we set it up, and so we used that in our living room for a few days. But now we got the new projector. It's all set up. It's like it was an upgrade. It's a laser projector instead of having a bulb, so it's not going to burn out the same way. So no bulb replacements every 3,000 hours of watching or whatever it's supposed to be. And it's 4K instead of old-fashioned HD, which frankly, for most things, didn't make a big difference to us. But having the new one in place, I can definitely tell the difference on some things. Like on lots of streaming stuff, the compression artifacts are bigger than the resolution difference anyway. It depends what you're streaming, right? Because they vary the bit rate quite a bit depending on which service you're using and what the content is and blah 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 blah. But anyway, it's definitely noticeably better. I won't deny it's noticeably better. It is absolutely noticeably better. It's just like how much better depends on what you're watching. I mean, like, Alex and I, amongst other things, we're watching, old Doctor Who episodes from the 70s. And we're watching an animated cartoon from like I think it was the late 90s, maybe, or no, early 2000s. Anyway, these things were not HD to begin with, let alone 4K. So, and obviously there's some up-resing that happens, but, it is a limit to how much better you can make things if the source material wasn't great to begin with, right? But a lot of things, yeah, you can tell the difference, and it's brighter, has better colors, you know, all this kind of stuff. So a good upgrade. But anyway, the point is, get back to the beginning of this story. The now we've got an extra TV, so we're gonna put it in one of our rooms upstairs. But now it needs an Apple TV hooked up to it, because of course, there's no way in hell I'm allowing this TV to get on the internet to use its own built-in smart TV features. We had to figure out when setting it up like the right way to bypass all that crap. Like smart TVs have a really bad reputation for A, the software being really clunky and slow and bad, but B, also they've turned them into surveillance machines. That's one of the reasons that for $200 you can get a decently sized TV these days, is because they are all about tracking everything you watch and reporting it back and all kinds of crap. And there's some of them like are inserting advertising, some of them are doing things, and you think like you would initially think, okay, look, okay, I know if I'm watching a particular service, obviously that service knows what I'm watching. No, no, no. These smart TVs are smarter than that. They're like taking screenshots of what you're watching every few seconds and sending them back to the mothership. So even if you plug like a Blu-ray player into the thing, it knows what you're watching, you know, and the exact amount of this varies by company. Some do it more, some do it less. Um, I figured Samsung was a nice established brand. I know they do it too, though. You know, I don't know. So anyway, but the point is, I'm gonna hook an Apple TV up to the thing so it can be used. And so I'm getting a second Apple TV, and there's probably actually a really old Apple TV laying around somewhere, and there was an unused one that I gave to my mom, and she's hooked up, logged into all our accounts. So I don't know. Anyway, we're going to the Apple Store for those two things, and you know that that's the plan for day. Apparently, there's some social thing that my wife and I may attend in the evening as well. Um, I've been talking to my wife and Alex. There are a couple movies I want to actually see in the theaters. I won't do two in this weekend, but maybe one this week, one next week. You know, I don't know. There's stuff going on. So anyway, I'm starting this out, and then like I usually do when I do solo shows, I'll spread out the rest of the show throughout the rest of the weekend as I have a few minutes here, a few minutes there. We'll do it. I don't know. My wife may join me for some parts of it. She may not. Alex may join me for some parts of it. He may not. The dog may join us and bark for some parts of it. He may not. You never know. Anyway, though, we need to leave for the Apple Store to be on time for our appointment. So I'm going to say goodbye. I owe you guys an Apple Dream. I've been talking about it for several weeks. I still have not made it ready. However, through the magic of me doing this over the course of the weekend, I will make sure that it is ready to go. So that as soon as I say, we're taking a break and I'll be right back after this, you will hear the Apple Dream. Won't that be exciting? Well, you'll know in just a couple seconds because I'm taking that break. Here's the Apple Dream. Okay, for those of you on the live stream, sorry, you're going to have to wait until I do the next live stream. Bye, folks.